Hello! As we have more or less finalized the UX and locked down the features for our next release, we thought we'd give you guys a bit of an update and show you some of the things that you can expect to see in EDAP Tools version 6. This release will be a huge milestone, not only for us, but for the whole Flash animation community, as for the first time ever, all Flash and Animate users will have access to production quality forward and inverse kinematics tools. We are really hopeful that this will make Flash relevant again and reignite the interest in the platform as a serious software for animation production. Many of you have been using our tools for years, but for the newcomers I will very briefly explain how smart magnet rigs work. Inside each element we have the so-called magnet targets, and these are the points that tell where the next element in a chain will magnetically snap to. So the hierarchy is realized on the basis of the registration point, which is one of the important points in the element, and then we have a magnet target, which tells the next element where to snap to in the hierarchy. So if we take this neck for example, we have a magnet target here in the torso, which tells where the registration point of the neck will snap to. And then inside the neck, we have a magnet target, which tells where the next element, respectively the head, will snap to. So if I select the neck and press a shortcut to trigger the snap command, the neck snaps to the torso, and if I select the head and press the shortcut, the head snaps into position. The same thing applies to all other elements. So if I take this upper arm as an example, it has a magnet target for the lower arm, and if I select the lower arm and press a shortcut, that will chain select the hand and then press the snap shortcut. You can see the whole arm assembled, and basically I can reassemble the whole character with just 2 presses of a button. So this is how smart magnet rigs work. There is metadata written in these symbol instances, and we have a bunch of tools that allow us to process this metadata. Nothing would stop you to use the standard Flash tools to squash and skew and modify your elements with the Q tool, but you also have hierarchical selections such as these, where you can just pose the character with the Kineflex tool in a forward kinematic manner. Now this has been available for years, but with this year's release, we also introduce production-grade inverse kinematics. So let me just show you how the inverse kinematics works and let you know about all the concepts and all the features within the set. So IK uses the exact same rig structure as a classic smart magnet rig, so you don't really need to do anything to convert your existing smart magnet rigs to IK rigs. It's realized only at tool level, and we control the chains with smart magnet rig inverse kinematics effectors. These effectors are automatically generated with a command, and the shortcut key for this command is Shift plus F1. So when I press Shift plus F1, you can see a little grayish circle appeared here, and we can also see that a layer was created called Smart Magnet Rig Controllers. I'll grab the Kineflex tool, and by holding down Shift, I can drop the effector over an existing element. And this element, which is already a part of a smart magnet rig, as in this case is this arm, can be controlled from that end as an IK chain. By doing so, we can stretch and pull upward. You see, the element beyond the chain stays in soft rotation. But if I hold down Alt, it will lock into position. So by holding and releasing Alt, I can very interactively pose the character. I'll snap this here. Now the effector will snap to its control chain when I press the Smart Magnet Joint shortcut. We can detach the effector by shift dragging it, and we can attach it wherever we like. We can attach it here. And if we attach this effector here, I'm not going to drag it now because it will produce unpleasant results. I will flip horizontally and drag it now. Now you can see there is a direction in which the joint will bend. So let me just detach this arm again and show you how you can add an effector. Basically, automatically it will attach to the selected element. So I'll go Shift F1 again and drag this effector. Okay, so the arm bends this way. And we can see the arrow pointing counterclockwise. If I flip this horizontally, the arm will start bending the other way. So if we would like to do a bit of a greeting, we can do so. And I'll pick a different hand. Say hello, hello. Okay. So now I'll attach two more effectors here. If I select these elements and I press Shift F1, or this time I will just use the Smart Magnet Rig Helpers panel, press this button here, and you can see two effectors appeared. This one has the correct direction and this one needs to be flipped horizontally. The moment we have all of these effectors, we can basically pull the character down and you can see how the effectors work as pins. And the whole character starts interacting with the effectors. I'll explain a lot more about this a little later. Now, effectors reside on a separate layer, and it's not a good idea to try to tween them. You can always, if the effector has moved away from the character, you can always just press the snap button and the effectors will snap. You can hide them and show them with the press of a button, and you can also control their visibility just by incrementally making them more transparent or fully opaque. Effectors have a couple of states. Changing the state of this effector, Alt plus Shift clicking with the Kineflex tool, now you can see how the effector has changed. Now if I pull the pelvis up, you can see how this effector does not work as a pin anymore, but it's still an IK effector. I can switch this one off as well, and you can see how they work at this point. Now I can give this arm here one more effector. The direction of this one has to be changed, and you can see how this is with Shift. We're moving. Without Shift, we're rotating. And if I accidentally move something, I can always snap it back into position because it's all magnetic. and we can snap the effectors into position as well. I will turn colorization on so that you can see how chains actually look. IK chains are colored in red and FK chains are colored in green. So this is just the visual aid. So you will see when I move the effector, what is behind the effector moves in soft rotation. Now if I hold down Alt, it is locked and moves in hard rotation. Now if I switch all of these, I can really shift the body weight of this character. And because all of these are now inactive effectors, I will just do an FK transformation. But if I pull this up, it will still work as an inverse kinematics chain. So posing becomes really enjoyable and very, very easy. Now I'll just jump very quickly to animate and show you something else. Now I'll give this guy 4 effectors. I'll use the panel. I will change the directions of these two, and I will just create another key here. See, the arm bends the way that I don't want it to bend, so flip horizontal of the effector, and now we have the bending in the direction that we want it to. So let me just change the position. Let me switch these effectors like this, and I'll just stretch this leg a little bit, and maybe shift the weight a little bit. So we have this pose and this pose. Now if I activate classic tweeze, and we have the usual problem of elements tweening along straight lines. Now for all of your animate users out there, we've integrated layer parenting in the Smart Magnet Rig workflow. So we can just select all these elements that we would like to tween along arcs and just press a button. You can see we got some prefixes here which just tell us that these layers are now parented, so we don't really need to expand this spaghetti box and look at what's parented and what's not. If I just press again, you can see it's just a matter of just a single press of a button to parent and unparent. So this box is just useless. All that we need is the indicator at the beginning of the layer name. And there you go. It all goes along arcs. So this is it. Of course, there will be a specific video about how we integrated layer parenting and all that, but just wanted to give you a brief example about the layer parenting integration. So I'll go back to CS6 now and continue with the presentation. Now, on top of effectors being very flexible and the possibility to attach them and detach them at will, hide them and show them, there is also, of course, as any production quality system, there are presets and there are constraints. So if we look at this effector, we can call it properties dialog, and we can see that there is a max stretch of 160 degrees. Now I will save this as preset first, and then I'll just delete it. Now if I pull, you can see that the arm just stretches beyond the point of its natural design. I will switch off the coloring again. If I pull the arm stretches beyond what is natural for it, now I can go here, call the effector properties and say get. We'll get the value, and if I say OK, now it won't stretch beyond this point. I can go here and get this other value, say OK, and now the arm can't bend further and can't stretch further. If I grab this other arm and bring it here, we can call the effector properties and we can apply the same presets to this other arm. I had to save it first though, so let me just save it as test. Okay. And now I can go here and apply test, and it loads these here. So the next time I drag, it will just lock itself and it will mimic the same range as this other arm. Even more, let me just open this and save it as preset first so that we can just restore them easily. I can choose these two and go here where we have a preset manager, and we can apply the test preset to both of these. Okay, and now if I drag this, it will not be able to bend and stretch beyond the limits that we previously set for the arms. So to restore the legs, I can just go here and just reload the legs, and to restore the arms, I'll go here and restore the arms and snap everything back into position. In this other example, I'd like to focus your attention on something that we call reverse IK. That means what happens when you pull and push an element that is on the other side of the IK chain. So let me just switch the coloring on again. If I interact with the controller, the red is the IK chain, and then the foot is beyond the IK chain. If I pull the torso, we are pulling and pushing on the other side of the IK chain, and now the effectors work as pins. I'll switch the coloring off so that we can see better and explain the reverse IK actions. If we use Kineflex without any modifiers, we rotate from the edge point of the element and we have the pins. You can see there's a pin here for the head, and the head interacts with this pin. If I hold down Shift and drag, we move this element and the chains work as IK chains against that pin. So by holding down and releasing Shift, I can very interactively pose my character. If you notice, these two effectors are switched into the state when they become transparent to the reverse IK. If I alt click them with the Kineflex tool, now they will act as pins as well. If I switch this one to the other state, you can see it is transparent, but it is still an IK controller. Now I'll show you how cool and easy it is to shift the body weight and basically start a walk. But before that, let me switch these and do a bit of a squat. I mean, how cool is that? How organic it looks, how natural. It's quite amazing, isn't it? It's very enjoyable. Okay, so I'll snap the controllers. Let's say this is how we're gonna start from this pose, and I will just create another pose, and I will do a little antic. Oh, let's say this will be slightly bent. I'll go like this. A standing pose, a squatting pose, stretch, just a little backward, and maybe I can lift the foot. At any point, if you like, you can do FK adjustments. So lifting a foot and then creating another key. Now I will switch this to transparent for reverse IK and go like this, and I will change the center of gravity, and then I will lift the foot even further. I'll move this arm that way, and I'll move this arm that way, and we might just do a little bit of a... Okay, so we, like, within 30 seconds we have a couple of poses, and I can just keep going. I'll just add another key and go that far. I'll stretch the leg if I'm not happy enough, because this is not a rigid skeleton based system. I can just stretch the leg a little further. I can adjust the toes. I will stretch this arm further, and I can show a bit of an elbow here, and I can bend the head just like this, just a little bit. Okay, so there's my other key, and I can just keep going like this. Now I can, if I decide that this is a good position, I can snap the controllers and now switch this and switch this one. And what will happen now is I can drag toward this controller, just like that, just like this. And I can switch my onion skinning on and deal with this other foot to make sure that the toes are where they have to be, and I can push it a little bit further, just like this. I want it stretched, and I can push the pose a little bit further. Not sure about the direction of the eyes, but let's say okay, let's keep going for another key or two. So we go that way, this arm will start swinging backward, this one will start swinging forward, and this leg will start compensating. So it's probably not the best animation that I've ever done, but I thought such a demonstration can be very pleasant to look at and interesting and somehow alluring. Just for the fun of it, I'll just give all these tweens and see what happens. There you go. I mean, done within 3 minutes while recording video. It's pretty good, isn't it? Just a couple of more things and I'll be done. This is just another one of those demonstrations, but I wanted to just accentuate on another function, and this is what happens to the elements that are beyond the effectors when you hold down Alt and Shift. Now this is, I'm holding down Shift and I'm moving the element beyond the IK chains. Pay attention to the feet. Now I will hold down Alt. Now the feet lock the way they would if you drag the controller with Alt down. So if you hold down Alt, the feet are fixed to the lower legs. If I release Alt and drag with Shift down, you can see that the feet become softly rotated, and if I hold down Alt again, they get locked. Same thing happens to the hands, but it's not as obvious because they're tiny in this case. Okay, and this is without any modifiers. If I hold down Alt, there will be slight movement in the feet. And this is the example with the pin here, so it looks somehow very, very natural. There's extra movement there, and if you push, it's almost as pre-animated, but that's all in real time. Okay, I think this should give you enough to get excited about. Thanks for watching.